So I had a realization recently, and I'm just going to go for it here. So I might lose you, but I'm just going to go at the speed of my thoughts as this comes through me here. So I started to think of spirituality and remembering who we are and everything in terms of dimensions. And so, this will be fun, I'll slide down the hill while I talk. So everything around us that we perceive is in three space, right? Three dimensions. And so here we are in this matrix of length, width, and height. And to understand a little bit about what it would be like to traverse dimensions 4, 5, and 6, it's easy to look backwards and say what would it be like to experience a two-dimensional world. So if you had a two-dimensional world that, all of us were just two-dimensional beings, we'd be kind of like on this like flatland place. And being able to move just back and forth on this flatland place, if you had an experience of like a three-dimensional creature coming through, you'd only see it cross-section by cross-section, right? And so if you have like a sphere or a balloon or something going through two-dimensional space, you'd see it as like this like point as the edge comes through, and then you'd see, this big circle getting bigger and bigger, and then smaller and smaller, and then it would kind of pop away into non-existence. And so it's easy to see then, the fourth dimension being time, it's easy to see that our experience as three-dimensional beings, or three-dimensional reality transcending through four dimensions would be a lot like, that balloon situation, except the cross-section is now our experience of the here and now in three space, right? So like a being or an entity in four-dimensional space, four dimensions I should say, would just be like a long undulating snake, starting from one end of birth and then death on the other end. And so you'd be kind of progressing through your experience of your whole life. But of course you can only experience slices at a time. And each one of those slices is now. And so this is like a being in four space. And then so, a being in like five space, or fifth dimensional space, would be the ability to, outside of time, right, because time is a fourth dimensional space, would be the ability to like simultaneously have experiences of multiple different lives like this, right? So my understanding currently is that all of us are really fifth dimensional spiritual beings made up of packets of spiritual energy that aligns in and organizes itself in alignment with the universe according to certain spiritual truths and all sorts of things like this. And that's why you can meditate, and as you really, really, really get into your meditation journey, you can have experiences of past lives. But you only experience them now. Because through the now, through conscious presence of the now and fully like tuning out the rest of the world in deep meditation, you're able to experience more of your true nature. And I'm getting better and better at explaining in words what your true nature really, or what my true nature really feels like. And so now I've gotten to a place where I'm able to actually use like mathematical dimensional speak to explain it a bit, because us being fifth dimensional creatures, it makes total sense that our same packet of soulness, our same stuff, our same energy, what we call our soul or spirit or whatever, could animate lives all over the place all the time, and could have experiences of this reality from many different angles. And then so life as we perceive it happens to us, or it happens for us, not to us, because life is just like boot camp for the soul. Earth is like boot camp for the soul. And so as we progress through life, this soul, this nature of who we really are, is learning things through this go-around and this go-around. And it's not exactly like reincarnation, because you always were incarnated. You simultaneously now are existing all through time, because time is a man-made construct. Really, like break it down and think about what time actually is. If you know anything about clocks and how they work, it's arbitrarily decided that at the prime meridian this is going to be time, or hour zero. And then, when the first clocks and things were invented, it was just mechanical movements that happened, systematically. So there's like this duration that was equatable or equal between ticks or mechanical movements or whatever. And then so we just like assume like, okay, that'll be a second, that'll be a minute, that'll be an hour. That's what we'll work off of. Now we've got atomic clocks, but it's still the same process. It's just like molecular movements that we see are very precise on like the nanosecond scale, but they still are that duration of mechanical happenings. And so time is really a construct that we made up ourselves. Go ahead and sail west across the Pacific Ocean, and when you cross the international date line, you see that all of a sudden you just lose a day and you don't even know where it goes. You just like set the clock a different direction. It's really spooky and weird. Time is totally an illusion. And that's because in order for us to create the society here in our perception of three space, we've had to have time be our like gatekeeper. Time be like our thing that keeps us organized, you know? Just like if Flatland were to have something to keep them organized, what would it be? It would be height, right? So this cross section, this cross section, this cross section. And they wouldn't know that they're really, you know, like three-dimensional beings just experiencing one cross section at a time. Maybe even four-dimensional beings, one cross section at a time. They would only see that, like, I don't know, things are just flat. That's just how it is. We can only go length and width. That's what we could do. So now here we are in three space with the same illusory boundaries around us, saying that, oh, life is just how it is. You know, we can't have remote viewing, can't have time travel. There's no such thing as past lives, and everybody who believes in any of this shit is totally crazy. Well, as long as you live this insane life of doing and doing and doing and thinking and thinking and thinking and being busy, then you are occupying yourself with this three-dimensional matrix of stuff all around us. That's very convincing. Look at all of it. It's really convincing. It's got a lot of stuff to it. And then those moments where you get like deja vu and ideas in the shower and you don't know where they came from, or like you had this feeling, this intuitive feeling about things. And it explains something about something that you like shouldn't know, or like somebody who you just know is like a soulmate or like a past life best friend or something. We say these things jokingly, but we don't have any fabric to weave them into our reality. We don't have any fabric to make them actually real in like terms of a theory that connects us all. That's kind of what I'm interested in, is like, how does this all make sense together, you know? Instead of us just assuming that, like, these things are reality. Here's, like, math, and here's science, and here's religion, and here's acceptable things and societal norms, and then all of that is just outliers over there. Well, how do we accommodate all of it? I think you accommodate all of it by letting your experience, like, really in tune with your experience and your feelings of life, and letting that be the ruler upon which you measure shit. Instead of thoughts, instead of beliefs, instead of what's given to you on the outside. Forget what you read, forget what you learned. Only operate from feeling. From me, I know that I've experienced 2 past lives, and I can go back to them. One is a Native American warrior, and the other one is a European blacksmith cooling his items in the ocean, which I think is pretty sweet. That one's fun to go back to. But I know there's perhaps an infinite multitude more, and you know, if space and time are just man-made cages, then there's probably other ones in different worlds, you know, because I would even zoom out one level further and say on the 6th dimension, all of the universe is just the same energy. All of these past lives that ever were, will be, and are happening now, they're all just one common occurrence of our whole universe of possibility, the infinite multitude of possibility happening now, and now, and now. So then you can go up to 7th dimension. You can say there's multiverses of all of these different universes happening simultaneously, and then that's when my mind currently starts to get blown. So maybe that's in future videos. But anyways, chew over that and see what happens. I think that's kind of fun to think about myself. And it makes a lot more sense to me than just, this is reality, this is what you should believe, so believe it. I think that's all nonsense. I think having to just jump to a conclusion and have certainty without clarity in anything is complete insanity. So, chew on that and let me know what you think.